A show with commonality, crafted by us, where ideas become reality. Crafted by us, just grab this opportunity in this community. Crafted by us, yeah, in this community. Crafted by us.
Hi, welcome to this episode of Crafted by Us. I'm your host, Michelle Johnson, and today I have a kind of an interesting project for you. It's a little bit more specific towards a group of people, but it may be specific towards you, so hopefully if you lift weights or you do CrossFit, this might be helpful for you. And also maybe you'll just learn something from how I use my sewing machine. I don't know, we'll see, okay? But let me show you what we're going to do. We are making these, and these are wrist wraps, and basically, let me just put one on real quick for you. You just grab, it's a sewn project, and you wrap it around your arm like this. Hold on, I gotta wrap it out of sight here. Alright, so we wrap it around like so. It's double-sided, so you can match it to whatever you're wearing, maybe if you have two different colors. Okay, and it's like this, and then I just twist this like this around my wrist, and as I'm twisting it, it gets tighter and tighter, and supposedly this is supposed to help when you're lifting weights. So why did I make these? Well, I personally don't use these. Maybe I'll give it a shot. But I have a friend who does CrossFit, and she asked if I could make her a pair. And I was like, sure, it doesn't look too hard, I'll make a pair. So I made a pair, and then another, and another, and another, and I have a bunch made because that's how I am. So I'm going to show you how to make them. But I'm just going to tell you that these are actually quite a bit more time consuming than they appear, than you would think they would be. So if after you watch this and realize that it's going to take you a bit more time than you think, and you would prefer to buy a pair, I'll have some on my Etsy shop, and I'll also on my website, craftedby.us, I will post some links to some other people that have some for sale online, because I'll tell you what, I have heard from people that I go to the gym with that, you know, they don't want to pay $20, $25 for these because they look so easy to make. But I'm also telling you, after you spend an hour, 2 hours making one pair, you might just rethink that maybe it'd be easier to support someone who's making and selling these for all of us. So I'll put links to a few of the websites that I've found that sell these, and I'll have a link to my website. Not that I'm trying to like sell these as like, you know, my business or anything. I just have a bunch left over. And if you're so inclined to make your own, then good, watch this video and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, let's get started. Alright, so let's talk about what you're going to need. I have my camera just kind of pointed to my table because you'll see here I have a serger sewing machine, and yes, you can do a nice zigzag stitch and then trim the edge and get a similar effect to the serger, but I bought this like I don't know how long ago, and I thought this is the perfect time to figure out how to use the machine. And I figured it out, I love it, and I think honestly that if you don't use a serger, you're just not going to be as happy with the finished result. Okay, so a serger sewing machine, a regular sewing machine, and then you're going to need some of this stuff, and this is like just some 3/8 inch cord stuff that I got from Joann's, and I'm going to cut this in half, so I am going to have two 13-inch lengths, and the way that I figured that out is I just thought, what's the minimum amount I need, and then I bought like 1.5 yards and cut it in half, then cut that in half and whatever, and that's what I came out with. Okay, this works. 13 inches works. I honestly think 10 inches would work. Okay, I had fabric. Here's a bit of fabric. You're going to cut your fabric into a rectangle about 3.5 inches by 32, 33 inches. So you're gonna need 4 pieces of fabric cut into that shape, so however much fabric you need. I just grabbed it from my scraps. I have my rotary tool, my acrylic ruler, and my cutting mat, see that? And that is so I can cut those rectangles. If you don't have those, you can use scissors. It's just going to be a little bit more challenging to measure it out and cut. I have a pair of scissors. Let's see. And I have this little template here that I made from some junk mail. And this is to help me figure out where my point is on my wrap. And I'll show you how to make this. So, some junk mail. Alright. I hope, can you see me? I hope that's it. If not, I guess as always, we'll find out as we go along. So let's get started on the project. The first thing that you're going to need to do is cut your fabric. Remember, I like to have it double-sided so I can wear, if I wanted to use this fabric, I could wear blue one day and then this color the next day. So I need to cut 2 pieces out of this and 2 pieces out of this. And you're going to cut it 3.5 inches wide and then anywhere from 28 inches to like 33 inches long. The longer it is, the thicker it's going to be on your wrist, okay? So go ahead and let's cut that out and then let's move on to the next step. Okay, so here's how I made my template. I got my acrylic ruler, which is 3 inches wide, and I just kind of slid this down, marked the middle, so the middle is right here, and then I went down, I can't even remember. I just did whatever I could figure out to work. Let's look at this. And then I went down 2 inches, so I marked the middle, measured down 2 inches right here, like this. And then from those dots, just draw my point. And then also come down like this, okay? There we go. Kind of looks like a house. You're just going to cut this out. And then that's how I got this piece, okay? I just want something that's pretty basic. I made it up. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is unfold my fabric, put this on here, and then I'm just going to center it. Originally, so you can see I have a bit of a gap. I thought I would do 3 inches wide, but I've decided 3.5 is better. So I'm just going to draw this line, and I use this just to guide me for sewing. It's going to be on the inside, so you're not going to be able to see it. So let's just do that to both pieces. Okay. There we go. Okay. And that just helps me make sure I sew evenly on both sides and I know where my middle is. So the first thing that we need to do as far as sewing goes is grab your end here and see how it's starting to fray a little bit. I like to just run a stitch or 2 across here just to keep it from completely fraying. And I'm not sure that it would fray a whole bunch, but this I know stops it for sure. So let's cut our pieces to 13 inches. You should have 2 cords 13 inches long. And now I'm just going to stick this in the sewing machine. I'm just using a basic straight stitch. And I'm just going to go back and forth. Now if you were using these, you could decide if you want to tie this end into a knot or not, based on how you use them. It's up to you. Alright, so I have my 2 cords, and now I'm going to grab my fabric with the arrows like this. And so I wish, okay, so this is going to be my right side. So I'm going to have, when I sew it together, let me just show you. It's hard to see because this is blue on both sides, so it's hard to see what the right side is. But there's the right side. This is the right side. When I end up sewing it together, it's going to be like this, okay? So if you use fabric and you're trying to decide which side to sew the cord to, sew it to the right side. So we're going to grab the cord, and I'm going to stick it out just kind of like, I kind of think it looks like a snake's tongue, right? And I'm just going to do a few stitches over the top of this just to hold it down for the next step, okay? There we go. That's it. Just a few quick stitches, because we're going to sew over this a couple more times, so you don't have to worry about too many stitches. All right. Let's do the same. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go ahead and run through one, because you know that when we do the second pair, it's exactly the same. So we've done this. Now you're going to grab, trying to make this so you can see. Okay, so there's our piece. Grab your other fabric and put it on top. Alright, so you can see I've messed up, because now if I put this on top, I don't see my sewing line. What I should have done is put the line on the back side, on the wrong side of the fabric. So no worries. I'm just going to redraw my, where are we? Can't even see. I'm going to redraw this, you guys. Alright, sorry about that. If you make that same mistake, don't worry. It's easy enough to just redraw. Okay. If you're comfortable in your sewing skills, you wouldn't have to draw this, but I want to make sure I'm sewing correctly in the right, make it straight. Alright, so it's hard for me to see where this camera's pointed to at this angle. Okay, so we're laying straight there. We're going to lay this on top like this, okay? And now I'm going to, following the lines I just drew, I'm going to sew to here and then sew down to there using just a regular straight stitch, okay? And make sure that my cord is hanging through the middle, lying flat. It's right here, right in the middle. You can't see it, but I can feel it. So I'm going to start here. Okay. Let's move this a little closer. There we go. And here we go. Back stitch a little bit, come forward. Alright, I'm going to get to the top here. And now I need to turn, but I just want a few straight stitches at the top. So I'm sewing on my line, and now turn it. Let's make sure we're lined up on the bottom, and then sew the other way. Alright. There we go. Okay. So basically what you have is two pieces of fabric, right sides together, and a sandwich, and your cord is sandwiched in the middle, sticking out kind of like a snake, okay? And we've sewn right up to here, across a little bit, and down. Now at this point, let's trim our excess fabric off. We're just going to trim these little triangles off. So far so good. Let's move to the next step. Okay, so now what we're going to do is turn this in right side out, pull this out, and see how your cord comes out nice and neat? So then pull this out, and if you wanted to, you could go and iron this down so it's nice and flat. I think for such a small piece, I don't really, it doesn't really matter, okay? I never did, and it worked out just fine. So now what I'm going to do is just stitch across here, across there, and down. Oh wait, no. First what I want to do is, do you remember how we had this tongue sticking out like this? Well, the reason I did that is because I thought it would be a good idea to have this extra bit attached to my sleeve for some extra support, so it doesn't come out. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and line up my top here, and I'm going to stitch down from here and stitch that tongue part down, and that's going to hold it nice and secure in my wrap. Okay, I just want to make sure this thing doesn't come out, and plus it adds a nice little detail. If you had a sewing machine that did fun stitches, this would be a good spot to add a fun stitch. Mine doesn't do fun stitches, but if it did, I would, you know, maybe stitch some flowers there or something in a contrasting thread. That'd be kind of cool. All right, now we've got this part sewn down, the little tongue piece, and now let's top stitch across here and across here. It just gives it a nice finished look. So I'm not using my 1/4 inch seam allowance. What I'm doing is sewing as close to the edge as I can. Just to hold that bit of fabric flat so it looks nice and finished. You go across the top part here where the cord is and then come back down. And there you go. So it looks finished here and here. Let me show you the back. You can see that probably even better. And there's the back side. And then what I want to do, this fabric's pretty long, so I want to sew some right down the middle. I've seen wraps that, you know, have like this, and however you want to do it. Basically, the intent of sewing down the middle like this is just to keep these two pieces of fabric connected together, so when you're wrapping them around your wrist, they're not pulling separately and wrinkling and, you know, that kind of business. So whatever you want to do at this point, but get some stitches going down the middle. So I'm going to start with go forward just a little bit and then a back stitch, and then I'm just going to go straight for about 30 some odd inches. So it's going to take a few seconds. Now I'm just sewing straight down the middle to keep these two pieces of fabric attached. Okay, so that's finished. Now what we need to do is finish the sides, okay? And that's where the serger comes in. So here I am at the serger. Besides learning how to thread this thing, I also learned when I sew, I need to turn the knob down so my needles are down before I start the presser foot. That's just kind of the same as a regular sewing machine. So here we go. I have my top here. This is already a finished edge, so basically I'm just going to sew down the side here, and then I'm going to sew down this side, and then once I get the other one finished on both sides, I'll sew the bottom so that they're both the same length. So let's do that. Alright, I'm going to put this, so my needles are in the up position, so I'm going to lift my lever and put this down, and I'm just making this up, so I just put this to the edge right here and put my foot down, and I'm going to sew. It's trimming off probably, I should measure it, but I'm guessing it's trimming off about 1/4 inch, which is why I wanted this 3 inches wide, and I cut the fabric 3.5 inches wide, so when it's finished it'll be 3 inches. Okay, so here goes nothing. I'm going to put my needles down and start sewing. And we're just going to sew, again, 32, 33 inches and keep going. So I've come up, now I just need to trim as close to the fabric as I can, trim my threads without cutting the fabric. And then you'll see this has actually a nice, you can see how finished it looks on this side. And then we just need to do the bottom. And when I'm doing this, I like to make sure that I keep the top fabric at the top each time because the stitch pattern is slightly different on top versus the bottom. So just to keep it uniform, I'm just sewing across the bottom. There we go. We've got one finished, and then we have to just make one more. Okay, so I finished the second one, and amazingly enough, it looks just like the first. So there we go. We have 2 wraps. Again, let me just show you how to put them on. You just wrap around. It's easier to do if you have it on your leg. Just wrap it around your wrist like this. Okay. There we go. Okay. Here's the end. Tuck it in like so, and then just twist whatever direction your point is going to, that, you know, the point that we sewed on the fabric. And this is going to be a little bit off just because it's so loose to start. If I would have put it on my leg and made it tighter to start, it'd be a little bit better. But this is working out all right. All right, so, and then there you have it. And then I think in theory these things are supposed to help support your wrist when you're lifting weight. Like I said, I haven't ever used them. I just made them for a friend. But so anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this show. Remember, I have several pairs of these. If you're interested in buying a pair, they're on Etsy. I'm only just trying to get rid of them, so they'll be there until they're gone. I'll also post on my website at www.craftedby.us. I'll post some links to some other people that sell them and a link to my Etsy store, as well as you know, the supply list and that type of information if you want to try to make your own. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you join me again soon. Bye.
Crafted by us, a show with commonality. Crafted by us, where ideas become reality. Crafted by us, just grab this opportunity. In this community, crafted by us. Yeah, in this community.